Hi, everyone. It's Denise Brown from the Caregiving Years Training Academy. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. If you're watching our archive, we're going to go through our training programs today. It's a conversation, and it's also a conversation that you might feel more comfortable having with me one-on-one. So if you'd like to, you can always schedule time with me. You can send me an email and schedule time to talk out what are the options and what might work for you. Today, we're going to focus more on our programs that help you start a small business to support family caregivers. We do have programs that help you facilitate support groups, both caregiving and grieving support groups, and there's tons of information about those on the website. And if that's something that's of interest to you, you are welcome again to reach out to me and we can talk one-on-one about them. I just want to say that those are fabulous. I've been going through those training programs recently, and they're really helpful if you're going to facilitate a conversation with family caregivers and former family caregivers. And one of the things that's helpful is that it's not about an agenda. It's not a structured script. It's about the skills that you need to facilitate conversations with individuals who are going through a difficult time. And that really is the theme about all our programs. We help you be with individuals who are experiencing really difficult, tough times. And the skills needed to be with those individuals are different than skills you need to work with other individuals when it's just around, for instance, managing weight. So if I were to think about a program that would help me manage my weight, it could be something where it's a lot of accountability, it's a lot of structure. And when you're helping family caregivers, I believe that oftentimes they need a reprieve from accountability, which is what you can provide in the support that you offer. We are accountable for so much during our caregiving experience. We are accountable for another person's life. And we are accountable. That's why our caree is in the shape, so to speak, that our caree is in, because we are accountable. So I think about the last thing we need is someone stressing us out because they want to make us accountable. The only caveat I would add, though, if you are coaching family caregivers and a family caregiver says, I want accountability, then be an accountability buddy for them. But I think for the most part, oh my gosh, we just want someone who can be with us. So our certified caregiving consultants are life coaches for family caregivers and former family caregivers. And our purpose as consultants and coaches is to really be with that family caregiver. And we be with them through helping them create plans, develop strategies, implement stress management techniques, help with conflict resolution, and help with managing the budget. So our consultants are about being with that family caregiver. And then our specialists are virtual assistants. And their role is to do for the family caregiver. Take off items from a to-do list, to manage the schedule, organize the tasks, plan the meals. It's about doing for the family caregiver. So I'm a small business owner, and as a small business owner, I want a coach and I want a virtual assistant. Family caregivers are running small businesses, so they need a coach, which is our certified caregiving consultant training, and they need an assistant, which is our specialist training. And those are the two programs that help you launch a small business. The consultant training is our premier level. It's a higher priced. It takes longer. Our specialist is really the entree into offering services for family caregivers. So it's a lower price point entry, and it's less intense in terms of the work that's required. I am going to make this PowerPoint available to you. So I'm not going to go through every slide, but I just want to mention that in the slide deck, I have some information about different consultants and how they've made money offering consulting services. So consultants have a revenue stream from one-on-one coaching clients, from getting paid for workshops and presentations they deliver, from writing for other organizations about caregiving and the caregiving experience, from being hired as an influencer for different organizations to offer products and services to family caregivers, and then talking about it on social media. They might also earn revenue through courses they offer and group coaching sessions that they deliver. So those are a couple slides around how consultants have been making money. Specialists will make money by charging family caregivers either a retainer to provide help with tasks throughout the month, or through a project that they help the family caregiver manage. A family caregiver might help a specialist, for instance, to organize the paperwork, and that might be a project that the specialist provides the family caregiver, and then the family caregiver pays for that project. Okay, so our consultants and myself are regularly interviewed and included in newspaper and media reporting about caregiving issues. We just had one of our newly certified consultants interviewed for Kaiser Health News. Medicare, which is the insurance provider here in the United States for individuals who are 65 and older, is thinking about reimbursing providers who train family caregivers. That could be an opportunity for us. And so one of our consultants was able to share her experience of what it was like without training, which is how, I mean, we all can relate to that. Okay, so when I think about bottom line, my business, it's about creating opportunities and preventing regrets. And I really have figured out that opportunities are a way of healing. I used to host a national caregiving conference, and I hosted it for 4 years, 2016 through 2019. And the presenters had to be current or former family caregivers. And what I realized is the opportunity to share your story and then turn it into a workshop to help others understand their story is a healing experience for the presenter. So there's ways that we can leverage, for lack of a better word, our caregiving experience so that it gives healing to us. And certainly starting a small business to support family caregivers is an opportunity. And it's an opportunity for healing. All these years, all these stressors aren't for naught. They just set you up for next. And it could be that next is the small business you start. So here's the thing. I want to be a movement of many. I want to be a part of a community. I think community building is so important. I can get so far by myself. I can get much farther with others who have a similar passion for supporting family caregivers. So what's interesting is it's hard to be a family caregiver. It's hard to be a small business owner. And that's why we need community for both experiences. And something that I have really committed to is to create a community for those who have completed a training program so that they connect to others, they connect to me. They don't feel like they are swimming in the deep end by themselves. They're in the pool of many, so to speak. Everybody is there to support and help, and everybody is there to help and support. It's the give and take, which is so important in a community. So I started working with family caregivers in 1990. And when I found family caregivers needed was someone who understood how to be with them in their pain. And that's really what I teach in the training programs. It's not about minimizing someone's pain. It's not about shooting them out of their pain. You know what you should do? It's not about fixing them. It's about sitting with them and staying with them in their pain. We've all had an experience where people are just so freaked out and overwhelmed by how painful our experience is that they just can't be with us. And I teach how to do that. So we know that a caregiving experience is a stressful one. There was research that the CDC put out recently around the toll on mental health when you're in a caregiving experience. And the pandemic certainly highlighted those challenges. But even as some feel like we are easing out of the pandemic, and I'm not sure that is really true, but we're not easing out of our caregiving pain during our caregiving experience. So even if we get a reprieve, for instance, from wearing masks during the pandemic, a family caregiver doesn't get a reprieve. So what was stressful during the pandemic is still stressful for family caregivers. So really, it's all about understanding the family caregiver because we want to be understood, not fixed. And that's why family caregivers need us. So it's really all about offering the right solution at the right time and letting that family caregiver tell us when the right time is for the right solution. So I have really committed to listening to training program participants to better understand what helps them be successful after they graduate. So over the years, I've done a lot to improve and move our training programs to the next level. And I offer events on a regular basis, and our events are highly recommended. And so is our training program. Okay. So one of the things that I had mentioned is I started helping family caregivers in 1990, and then I launched one of the very first online caregiving communities in 1996. And I actually was helping my dad until July. He died July 2nd. So he died just about, I think, 6 weeks ago. So I helped my dad from 2004 when he was diagnosed with bladder cancer until his death just 6 weeks ago. And then I helped my mom for 7 years. My mom died last August. Sometimes people misunderstand what our training programs are about. And I will say that it's not as misunderstood as it was when I first launched it. When I first launched it, people really think, thank you for that. Thank you for your sympathies. When people first heard about the training program, especially the consultant training program, which I launched in 2016, they really thought it was about hands-on care. And we're not about hands-on care. We are coaches and consultants that help a family caregiver navigate the 6 caregiving stages, the 12 caregiving fatigues, and the 17 caregiving systems. So when I say that, it really amplifies how complicated and complex a personal caregiving experience is. Sometimes it seems like what we read and hear in the media about the solutions we need are referrals to providers. Well, you know what? There might not be a provider in our area that can help us. And sometimes we are doing it because there aren't resources for us. So we're the one that is taking it on because it doesn't feel like there's another option, at least another option right now. So that's why we're coaches and consultants. We're really helping that family caregiver figure this out in a way that works for them. Every family caregiver has a different way of how it works for them. So our support, our coaching, our assistance through our specialist is very personalized. It's tailored to the individual family caregiver. We have tools that help the family caregiver tell us what they need, but we don't have a script or a detailed map that says you have to do this then and this then. It's all about what works for the family caregiver and when does it work for them. In our consultant training, we have a masterclass that's called the Family Caregiver's House of Cards, which helps us understand why sometimes it's hard for a family caregiver to implement help. So I think there's a huge misunderstanding about adding help during a caregiving experience because it is hard to add help and it takes time to manage it. And that's why we might hesitate because we're just trying to figure out how do we add it and how do we manage it. And if you haven't been in a caregiving experience, you don't get that. And you make a judgment that family caregivers don't ask for and receive help. I think that's not correct. I think that tells a small percentage of the tale, and the story is much more complex than that. So the training really is geared for those who have had a personal caregiving experience or who have worked with family caregivers for a period of time, so that you have this insight into what it's like. You know what it's like because you've been there, done it. And then we really are committed to making a difference. So oftentimes individuals will ask me, well, will family caregivers really pay for these services? I used to do an annual survey of family caregivers, and I did it between 1995 and 2019. And one of the questions that I asked them was, what services would you like to have in your community? And I put coaching in there. And every year people selected coaching as one of the top resources that they wanted. I stopped asking that question because it was always the same answer. So we know that family caregivers want coaching services. Do they want to pay for it? And here is some research that came out last fall. 80% of family caregivers are interested in paying for products or services that help them manage. Yes, but they can't identify where to go. And that's why if you become this local resource for family caregivers, you are offering them something that's invaluable, because you're going to be providing the services that they want, plus helping them find additional resources, additional products, additional services that might be helpful. So in essence, we're specialists in the practice of family caregiving. Okay. So let's just talk about the programs that help you launch a small business. Just want to mention quickly that we have two new programs. One is a conflict resolution strategist that supports the family caregiver who's managing the disputes and conflicts, which always happen during a caregiving experience. That program is also part of one of our levels of the consultant training. And then we have a guide, and that's someone who can deliver workshops in the community, in person and online, around navigating the 6 caregiving stages and the 17 caregiving systems. So it's educational programming that we help the guide deliver. Okay, so the programs that help you launch a small business are the specialist, which is the virtual assistant, the comfort care family coach, which is a specialty where you help family caregivers once a caree starts palliative care. So you help that family caregiver as end of life begins, through end of life, and then after caregiving ends. And then the consultant is about all the stages of the caregiving experience. Our consultants might pick certain stages to actually focus on, but they learn about all the stages, where the comfort family coach really learns about the last 2 stages. And then the educator is someone who trains, guides, and also delivers educational programming in their community. So we've enhanced the training over the years. I want to mention one of our tools that we use regularly. They too had been in one of our programs on Tuesday, which is our recovery planning session. And we use a tool, a recovery plan tool, for that conversation. We have probably 60 different wheels that look like this that help the family caregiver pinpoint what they need, help them find words. These are great marketing tools that our consultants use in virtual programming, in-person presentations, and one-on-one and group coaching sessions. There are wheels for pretty much every experience, including hospital discharges, conflict resolution, managing the money, and then managing our stress. Some of the tools are standalone, and some of them I've combined into plans. We have a family emergency planning tool, for instance, that combines 4 different wheels to help that family caregiver figure out, what if this happens? What will I do? Everybody needs a family emergency plan. Everyone. Our consultants learn how to deliver that as a 50-minute session, and just delivering family emergency plans will launch your business. And then from there, you can start to add more services for your clients who have completed a family emergency plan. But that's a way to launch your business as a consultant. Okay. All right. So this just lets you know I've done more. And again, I'll share this presentation when I share the archive. So I'll send out a note through Eventbrite tomorrow with a link to this video and to the PowerPoint, so you can review these slides. Okay, so I just wanted to mention the planning tools. I had talked a little bit about them as it relates to our recovery planning session, but we also have planning tools that help family caregivers after their family member receives a diagnosis. So it's after the diagnosis. It could be after the first diagnosis. It could be after the second. But it's also important to know that palliative care and hospice care are diagnoses. So our comfort care family coaches also learn how to lead these planning sessions when a caree starts palliative care and then when they move to hospice care. What's so interesting is the tool doesn't change, but the conversation does. So how the conversation sounds when it's palliative care is different than when it's hospice care. And there's no one really that sits with the family caregiver to have the conversation when the conversation changes, except us. Okay. So there are the other planning tools. So as a consultant, when you graduate from our Certified Caregiving Consultant Training Program, you have plans that are ready to actually become offers to clients. If you wanted, you could use these plans as marketing tools. You could have a group of family caregivers join you for a recovery plan, for instance. And then you could offer at the end of that planning session, one-on-one coaching to the attendees. Okay, so we have 3 different levels of consultant training. We have the bronze level, which is our consultant training for those who are comfortable with marketing, might already be working with family caregivers, might already have a small business, and are just adding another service, which is consulting. And then our next level up is silver. That includes our consultant, our facilitator, our educator, our guide, and our conflict strategist training. In addition, you get help with your marketing plan, and you also connect to our mentors who are consultants who have already completed the program. And then the gold program is our highest level, and that's where you work with me to create everything in the silver plan, plus you develop a workshop that is approved for continuing ed hours. So you could develop a workshop where you deliver to nurses who join you because they want continuing ed hours, for instance. And I also help you write a book. In the gold level, you actually commit to a highest level of excellence in terms of the services you offer. So you become a master caregiving consultant. The bronze level takes 2 months. The silver level takes 3 months, and the gold level takes 6 months. For each of these levels, you can pay in one lump sum, over 4 months, or over 12 months. Okay, and then we are approved for CEUs. So if you're a nurse, for instance, you can complete our training and earn CEUs. Okay, so that's the Comfort Care Family Coach. I'm just going to mention this quickly. We do have a nonprofit, and we are going to start to split training and accreditation. So we become the accrediting body through our nonprofit for anyone who launches a caregiving coaching program. So we feel like we have figured out over the years, over the past 7 years, what's the standard of excellence or any kind of training program for those who are going to coach family caregivers. So that accrediting body will then hold any training program to that standard of excellence. And then we'll still continue doing training. So here's why I think it's so important to become certified. Our space is becoming noisy. And I think a certification really separates you from others who might be doing work as a consultant or who might be coaching, but haven't gone through a training program. And I think that's the differentiator, that you've committed to a training. You've committed to upholding our level of excellence that we require from our training program graduates. In addition, you're part of a community then when you graduate. You're not just out on your own trying to figure it out. You've graduated with what I know can work. So you start with what I deliver. It's what I've created for you. And then you start to tweak and tailor it, personalize it to what your niche is. And as you go on and make your mark in the world, you take us with you because we support and encourage and really celebrate your work. Okay. So one of the reasons that I include peace about your experience is that you're going to be sitting with family caregivers and hearing their story. And it's so important that you have peace about your experiences. So what you hear is just the family caregiver's story. You're not thinking about your experience. You're not comparing your experience to the family caregiver's experience. You're just focused on their story and their experiences. And when you have peace about your experiences, you're able to do that. Be fully present in another's story without it becoming about you. Okay, I wish it were easy. It's getting easier though, I will say that. It's getting much easier. And it's easier with a community. There are different opportunities I offer to training program graduates, and that is to be part of events that I offer throughout the year. And if you're a part of our community, Caring Our Way, you can see all the different events that we have coming up and register to join, all of them or any of them. Okay, just a couple of things that we're working on now. We're interviewing family caregivers about their experiences with the 17 caregiving systems. I post the videos so you can watch them on our YouTube channel. Fascinating. In addition, we have a new tool for family caregivers to complete during an ER visit because we want to better understand what's it like for the family caregiver. Now, of course, we know what it's like. It's not helpful. We just need data that family caregivers can give us about their experiences because we want to start adding support within systems at points when it's going to be most impactful. And an emergency room intervention for family caregivers is impactful. We have a training program for family caregivers, which is our family care manager program. It's really about setting up systems to help manage that caregiving experience. And then we have another program for direct care workers. Okay, so if you'd like to be a volunteer, I've listed out the different training programs that can help you become a volunteer. If you'd like to launch a small business, these are the programs. Okay. So what questions might you have? And if easier, you can type them in the chat room. You can unmute yourself, whatever would be helpful.
Good afternoon. This is Dolores.
Hi, Dolores. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome. I think this is an amazing academy that you have here. I started an online t-shirt store for caregivers, but the more I spoke with other family caregivers, I saw that we all shared the same story. I wanted to do something different. So now I want to do the same thing, reach back out to family caregivers to provide support and education for them. So I think this is great. You have so much to offer. It's like, where does one start?
So I have been thinking about that. And I actually have a special offer for you guys. I'll just do you want me to tell you what it is?
Yes.
Okay, because I think the place to start is the specialist. And here's why. It's a lower price entry point. It starts connecting you to family caregivers. It starts you engaging in a conversation using our tools. And it's a way for you to start to make some money that can help you then when you want to go into the consultant training, so that you get a better price on the consultant training, because we apply what you've paid for the specialist training and a little bit more to the consultant training. So you get a break on that. Plus, you're already starting to make money, and that helps you. So I put together an offer for you guys where you become a specialist, which is that virtual assistant for family caregivers, but you also become a caregiving guide. And as a guide, you deliver workshops online and in your community that educate family caregivers about navigating the 6 caregiving stages and the 17 caregiving systems. As a guide, you get out into the community. You also start talking about your work. So it also can be a marketing tool as you enroll clients into your specialist services. In addition, you get 3 30-minute coaching sessions with me. So we help you really solidify your niche, think through your offers, figure out your price points, and then help you launch as a guide in your community. Okay, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, that sounds great. I also enrolled in the beginning again after caregiving ends.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I'm on the first one. I want to go through all of the questions again, because I want to make sure, like you said, I think in one of them, that I am healed and at that place where I can sit with another family caregiver and not, like you said, it's not about me. It won't be about me. So I think I want to go through that first.
Yeah, I think that's a fabulous idea. And as you complete that course, and that's 6 classes, it's for former family caregivers, and it's actually free because we're collecting some data around what your experience is with the program. Dolores, reach out to me when you're done.
Okay.
And we'll schedule a call and we'll figure out what's right for you.
Okay.
Now, this offer expires the 21st, but we'll give you a different expiration date. So after you complete that beginning again course, you reach out to me, we talk. If this offer still sounds good to you, then we'll talk out what that looks like. I would hold that price point for you. But there might be something else that works for you too. So I love that. I love that you're doing that.
Yeah.
And I like that beginning again course, which really is inspired by the book I wrote to help former family caregivers, because we don't spend enough time really thinking through, how do I close out my caregiving experience?
Right. Right.
So, Dolores, when did caregiving end for you?
It ended June 27th of 2021. That's when my father passed. My mom passed in October of 2019, and then my dad in June of 2021.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's
Yeah.
a lot. It's a lot.
Yes.
I'm glad you're taking that course. I think that's a fabulous idea.
Yes. And oh, I really enjoyed it, and I said I'm gonna sit with it again and just go through the questions again. So yeah, I thank you for that.
One of the things that I think about for the consultant training and for the comfort care family coach training is that typically it's a couple years after caregiving ends that you look at those programs. As a specialist, I think about anyone who has been in a caregiving experience for a period of time and have moved into the fourth stage, which is the pragmatic caregiver, where you're used to the shocks. you're just like, okay, yeah, this is, of course this happens. So you have this perspective on caregiving that's easier than when you talk with family caregivers. The difference in the conversations between a specialist and a consultant is that the specialist is going to ask, what can I do for you? And it's a much more task-focused conversation.
Mhm.
So that's why I think if you're still in a caregiving experience or your caregiving experience has recently ended, a specialist training will be okay for you. The consultant training is where you're really listening to the stories, where you're really helping someone with plans and strategies and stress management. It's a much more emotional experience. And that's where I really think piece about your caregiving experience is so important. And I also think in that training, it's important to have completed a caregiving experience so that you understand what it's like to complete it
Yeah,
and then to manage after it.
yeah,
Whereas the specialist training, I think you're okay with, I know what the tasks are. I know how much organization is required. So it's a much more logical experience versus coaching, which is a much more emotional one.
yes, that makes sense. Yes, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad you could be here today.
Me too. I'm glad I got on.
Day two, how does everything sound to you?
It sounds really good. Thank you so much. And I'm really sorry about your dad.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, my question was about the bronze, silver, gold.
Yes,
So, do they add up to the gold if you start at the bronze, or do you just like pick whichever?
that's a great question. If
Yes.
you wanted, you could start with the bronze and then add in pieces that will get you to the gold.
Okay.
So
Sound
yeah, so in essence, what you would do is kind of create your own timeline. So over a period of time, you would add more to your training. Whereas with the gold, you just jump right in. The gold also, your expense is right there. Whereas if you add in after you take the bronze, you're bringing in money, and then you think, you know what, I'm ready to invest in a little more. And then the money is there to invest.
okay. Thank you. That makes sense.
And people have done it both ways. And either way is okay with me. It's really about your budget, your time commitment, and what feels right for you right now. Okay. So that's the special offer through the 21st. There's the link. We're going to do a raffle next, but I'm going to stop the recording to do the raffle. And I'll just thank those of you who have been watching the recording. Thank you so much. Please reach out with any questions. And I so appreciate your interest in everything you do. And those who are here live, just stay with me and we'll do the raffle.